Hello. So this talk is about a recent project that I started. It's a domain, kitun.com. Most of people don't know, but Malayalam domains are a possibility, but we hardly see any Malayalam domains. So this was made in Kundangalam literally because I live in Kundangalam. So you, yeah, you can see the source code directly at this GitHub URL. Okay. So what I will just directly demonstrate. So let's say, so somebody asks you token slides ever. So you can just reply slides@kitun.com. So this domain actually works. You can see that it's two subdomains, slides.apo.kitun.com. So anything that's prefixed to this domain will work. There will be a website there. So I can actually show the demo right itself now. So this Malayalam typing tool is something that I created also. It's called Varnam project. If you have a Mac and you can't type Malayalam, you can use the software to type Malayalam easily on Mac. So slides dot kittu dot com. You can't do com as Malayalam. Okay. Oh, that I will mention in the slides. So I'm going to replace that dot with this is an SSL error. I'm going to replace that dot with dash and it should work. I hope so. Yeah, so you can see that the title is different, but the thing is that this depends on what the domain that you type. So this because it says epo, if it ends with epo, it will just give But if you replace that with something else, let's say slides.kitun.com, you can just directly get the title. So it's rule-based dynamic website. So anything that you prepend, there will be a website. That's for sure. There will be a website. So you can type anything and that suffix it with kitun.com. Okay. So this is basically the project. And another example. So this happened in Reddit. So this was a rant about KSRTC being shitty in Kerala. So you can say some people were like, actually KSRTC is very low to North Malabar. So that's a rant that everyone usually makes. So this one parent come and said we should result in more in the north and say so you can just directly reply. So somebody will go to this site and you can say what will the result. So you can, there's like multiple places the way you can use this domain and you can like contextualize whatever things that you want to. Like I will explain more that in the examples. Okay, so now there's the origin story of how kitun.com was started. But if you are an early internet user in Kerala, you will probably know this. So it was back in 2012. 1 year since Ummanchandi was sworn in as a CM. This was just 1 year. And December 21 was the world ending day, but that didn't happen. But I don't know how many of you remember this, but on December 21, the day when it was predicted that the world will end is the day when Gangnam Style became the 1 billion views video. So that was happening on the same day. I still remember that day very well because I was expecting the world to end, but it didn't happen. But Gangnam Style reached 1 billion views. That was the first time in the history that a video reaches 1 billion views on YouTube. And it's also in that same year, a website was created, which I will explain later. Okay, I'm supposed to add a question here, but I forgot to buy a chocolate. So I will probably give you a GPay or UPay or something. Okay. So who is this guy? Okay, I guess I will have to buy many chocolates. Okay. Anyway, I don't know how many of you remember, he was the Minister of Education in 2011 to 16 in Manjani's ministry. So it was a bit of controversial the way this was when he was an education minister, but this year is also controversial, so it's fine. I don't know how many, I'm a 2015 SLC batch graduate, so I think you know the controversy behind what happened in 2015 SLC exam results. Anybody know? Yeah. So for others that you don't know, everyone, like the most number of A plus was in SLC 15 batch. I also got full A plus by the way. So thanks to Abdurrahman, it was a very fantastic year for memes as well as students. So meme I remember was that the guy who tried to sneak away from the rain also got full A plus. That was kind of a jokes back in the Facebook on at that time. So after this SLC exam results, after the next year also started, right? 2015 June 1 would be the next school year. But there was another controversy there. So it took, usually in government schools there will be a bit of delay to get the textbooks. That was a normal thing back then. But this time it took more than that, 1 month more. So people were like, when will the kids get textbooks? I think everyone just wanted to troll Abdurrahman. That was like a common thing back then. So people, there was this website I told you. So if anyone go to Google and search for Padapustam Eppa Kittum, and the result will be Noki Irunno Ippo Kittum. So this website, this is Manglish website, Noki Irunno Ippo Kittum.com. It was registered in 2012, that domain. The developer of that is now not in Kerala, he is working abroad. But that domain was there. So anything that is suffixed with Ippo Kittum or something, I think this was because of Google's bug in a way. The SEO would result in this website being shown as the first result. So anything that you prefix it, so let's say salary Ippo Kittum, same result would come. Okay, so that is how this domain got popular, and news coverage also started happening for that. So, and another controversy what happened was in 2016, there was a rationary problem, and same thing happened, rationary Ippo, then same thing happened. Other medias would cover, so this got popular back in the days. Okay, so this was the Manglish domain, nokirunippakudu.com, but Malayalam domains has been a thing since 2010. So anybody could register a Malayalam domain, and that is possible since 2010. But you don't. It's been 13 years now, but you hardly know any Malayalam domains that we have, right? You hardly see any Malayalam domains. So if you want to know more about how the Malayalam domains came into being, you can read this book. SMC has a blog on it. So SMC is one of the organizations that is doing the proposal bit of when this happened. There are a lot of consideration to be taken, and look, the Malayalam Unicode is actually very screwed up. So there are multiple problems therein as well. So there's like, I don't know if you know, but if you are on Windows and you say you want to type India, Ende, you can see that the Na Chandrakala Ra wouldn't render properly. I think many of you know that problem. That problem, so that's a very screwed up problem, but if I go into that, it will get more ranting and ranting, so I'm not going to go into that. But the problem is that when you buy domain names, it is possible to register two .coms. So Ende.com can be registered in 6 different ways, because the Unicode characters actually has a problem there. But there is no way Malayalam can escape that, because it is part of Unicode standard. Okay, so you can go into SMC blog. There is already a blog on how screwed up Malayalam Unicode is. Okay, so this is the so there needs to be talk back and forth when you implement something like Malayalam domains. So if you look at these kind of domains, non-English domains, there's a problem, because DNS actually understands ASCII only. It only understands English. So what ICANN is the organization for domain names. So what they did was they invent this called Punicode. So Punicode, what it does is that it will convert this kittum.com, and it is actually an English domain. So if you go to the browser, and if you go to the inspect element, and you can see that the browser is showing Malayalam directly. The domain is correct, but actually underneath it, the domain is actually this one. So it's you can actually read this one, but what the browsers and other softwares are expected is to convert this Punicode and show it as in the correct Malayalam format. But some software still doesn't know it. Reddit is one example. So Reddit has problem rendering. The old Reddit has problem. What will happen is that it will domain that X and thing there. Okay, so this is what Unicode is. Now Unicode is like a representation of Unicode characters to ASCII. So this doesn't mean this is from Malayalam. Any Unicode character. Emoji domains are a thing, by the way. You can type, I'm not sure, there's a short link something which has an emoji.com. So this will be like a chocolate. You can actually register that. You can have an emoji chocolate and we put in that, and you can have it register as a .com. So that is also possible these days. So if you have a domain like mangakittum.com, so what it actually is that there are two subversions of this. So the subdomain will be one Unicode. The root domain will also have another Unicode. So this is what they actually are. So this is very ugly, to be honest. So you can't actually send this URL, and it will most likely looking like it's a virus or something. So you have to make sure that you send it as Malayalam itself. But I think the problem with this problem is that if I send this URL to someone, it's actually a joke, but they would actually be scared that this might be a virus site or scammy site or something. So why make kittum.com? It's fun, of course. I mean, you go to a Reddit post and you can guys reply, and everybody will like abuse. Wow, what is this website for? Malayalam domains, like I said, there are hardly any Malayalam domains. There is this domain like I recently discovered, Malayalam.com itself. Malayalam.com. So there is this one site, and it is describing. I'm not sure who built this site, but I think it was specially built for the Madhurabhasha Dinam, I think on February 21. So someone has built this site. I'm not sure why. I think Manorama.com is also registered in this way, and it is redirecting back to Manorama Online. So since it was back in 2000, some people have reserved domains, and it's also a good application of wildcard subdomain. So that is I will get. This is not going to be in the technical part. So the front end is in Vue.js, back end is in Go, and the reverse proxy that is used for serving the site is Caddy. Okay, the first problem. HTTPS is the first problem. So usually domains will, most of the domains, at least now at least for Google or anywhere, HTTPS is a minimum requirement. You need a website that should be HTTPS. So uh, that's the problem here. So previously shown that the slides or any subdomains that is suffix.kitun.com wouldn't work. It shows a secure connection failure because HTTPS is not possible when the domains are like suffix more and more. So there are like multiple subdomains. It is hardly difficult. So CAD will what does is that whenever there is a new website coming, so whenever there is a new subdomain coming, CAD will automatically generate an SSL certificate. CAD will automatically generate the HTTPS certificate, and CAD will serve it up. That is why any domain can be prefixed. So any website will be existing on that. So let's say I'm going to do something else. So it can be Malayalam, it can be any language as well. So any domain will be existing there. And the SSL certificate will be directly initiated when the site is being loaded. So this is very fast because this is hosted in Hyderabad. Okay. And yeah, so that's one problem that was solved. So the problem is yeah. So you can actually, the best way is to prefix with dot. You can like prefix it so much as back as you want. But the problem is SSL won't be there. So that is why you have to have the dashes. So that's why we have to replace it with dashes, and the only dot will be on the first part, last part of the software. So single level wildcard certificates are only possible. So this is a certificate level problem. There's no solution to this, and hence why you have to be replaced by dashes. So this is how the CAD file configuration of that looks. You can see that when you configure this in the servers itself, you can't type in Malayalam itself the actual domain. So even when you register a domain on the site, the actual domain will be registering will be in this way. And this is how, oh shit, I revealed the API key. I will renew it today. Okay. The next problem would be SEO. Anyway, I will say, so what is as a Namecheap is the site register. So what is as a every time a new domain says that verification is done through Namecheap itself, and that is how the domain will work. So that is why it needs an API key. Okay, then the second problem is the SEO part. So how will you make Google learn this? So if I go to let's say paadavustamappagoto.com, I'm not sure. Oh no, biryani is where. I think the GitHub is linking with biryani and Pakuttum, so let's make that. If I search this on Google now, yeah, okay, that's showing a salary Pakuttum. Oh, anyway, so it will show the kitun.com now. So how will you make Google learn that this website is there? So that's another. So the GitHub repo is already there. So you need to make Google learn the website itself. So anyway, if anybody search for something with prefix with kitun.com, you need to get Google's result as well. So you need to populate the title tag and other meta tags as soon as the website is served. And I followed Vue's official server-side rendering, and it was very buggy, and the Express server randomly crashed, and I couldn't figure out why it was happening. So people started raising issues. So I'm like, I'm not sure like why it was happening, because it was JavaScript problems mostly, and people started making kitun.com kitun.com. So that's inverse way of saying it. But the domain wouldn't work. So the problem was if I think I will have less time, I guess, right? So I can probably explain everything. Yeah. So this is the tree where we can see that JavaScript has a module problem. I won't get into this because this is just problem. That's it. So the problem to solution would be to just remove JavaScript. I just wanted to go. And one another comedy is that we in Go we call a JavaScript engine, which is the Chrome engine, and the Chrome engine would. So what it does is that when you get a domain, it will convert it. It will be in Unicode. So that Unicode will be converted into Malayalam back, and the Malayalam needs to be displayed to the title tag. So to do this, I have to call JavaScript code from Go with Chrome's V8 engine. So it's a bit problematic, but it was fun though. And I made a blog on how to run JavaScript code from Golang with Chrome V8 engine. You can refer to that, and that also lists the problems that there is. So the result of that issue was that Node.js at Go and the site hasn't crashed ever since. 100% uptime. It's been 1 year now. Okay, now another possibility is that maybe Entry can sponsor this. Jolie Appakutun.com will just redirect to entry.com. Why not? So that is another possibility that one can make with this. If anybody at the Entry is hearing this, please sponsor. Okay, and I'd like to thank you because this got expected more contributors than usually. usual because some people actually made PRs to the repo and improved stuff that. And I didn't have to review much, so 100% PR merge is one of the thing that's happening in the repo. And that's it. And if you want to see more of my projects, you can go to my domain. I think I have one more Malayalam related project coming up in next month or next month. I think I will probably present a talk on that next month. Yeah, so that is basically kitun.com. Thanks. Anybody has any questions?
What's that Malayalam tool for Macs that you said?
Yeah. So this is a project that I've been maintaining for since 2017. You can go to this domain varnamproject.com. This is currently available for Linux and Mac. Mac was the recent one, just the last one, but this is more supported more Linux. But Mac didn't have proper tool for Malayalam. So this is a predictive test. So you can as you type more and more words, it will suggest that words also. It's a learning system as well. So you can use that. But the installation is a bit complicated, but it will work and it will work everywhere. No. It's everything is open source. No servers involved. Everything is happening local. I'm also skeptical when I use an input to myself. I don't want anyone else seeing what I'm typing. So yeah, that's the main important part when you type it. Another rant I can give. Google input tools is the one that most people are using these days. And the thing is that whatever you type, at least for pencil, is something that you're physically writing that. You won't allow another company to own your pencil. So that's something core to what it is. So this has to be open source. That's the main point. A pencil has to be open source as well. So hence why everything source code, everything is entirely open source with work. You can inspect the code itself here. Anything else? Okay, yeah, you can go. The repo is at slash. I hope the stars increase today. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Subin, for that energetic talk, and I hope that Subin has also got some fans with respect to this. Okay, so now we have our third talk of the day, which is asymmetric encryption and decryption of files using GPG, and it's done by Vishnu, who is also an associate architect at Cubus. Welcome, Vishnu.
Hi everyone. Hi, good morning. So it's not that interesting topic as like kitun.com because it's a bit technical. So myself Vishnu, and I represent here as an associate architect from Cubust. So the topic is about have anyone worked with JPG like GPG? Okay. So so there is I think a couple of them are like aware of the GPG. Okay. So so today's agenda will be like an overview of GPG. So I'll be just giving you an overview of GPG. Then so how the symmetric and asymmetric encryption works. Then key differences between symmetric and asymmetric. Then how we generate a key pair, and like we can actually use a KGPG app as well. Also, like we will go through like how we'll import a public key, how we'll um, do encryption using public key, and decryption using private key and passphrase. So basically, GPG actually stands for GNU Privacy Guard. It was actually developed in around 90s but we are still using because it's more secure and reliable, because we don't have any problem, or like there are no security concerns about the same. So it's like a implementation of Open PGP standard. It's like a pretty good privacy, we say. And so it's basically used for symmetric and asymmetric encryption. Like we can also encrypt mails, and also we can use the same for performing digital signatures as well. So let's go through like what is symmetric and what is asymmetric. So in the first diagram, you can see like we have a plain text which we are actually converting to a ciphertext, and then it is again converted back to plain text. So if you see the first diagram, you can see the keys wherein we are using the same key, like secret key. So we say that secret key or private key. And in asymmetric encryption, we have something like public key and secret key. We use both of them. So basically, in asymmetric encryption, we will encrypt using public key, and we will decrypt using private key. And we will also have a password. When we actually use the secret key, we will have to actually use a password as well. Yeah, so about symmetric encryption, it involves one secret key, and we should actually share the secret key to the whoever is actually going to decrypt it, right? Like basically we use encryption and decryption for sending the files. Like if I have to send a file to you, and if I don't want to I don't want to send it to someone else, so we have to actually make sure that this is if we are sending it over the internet, we should encrypt the data. So, so basically, we will have to share the secret key to the user, whoever is actually going to decrypt and use it. Also, like in asymmetric, if we are using asymmetric, we will actually encrypt it using the public key, but we will actually be able to decrypt it using the private key only. Like if we are actually trying to use public key for asymmetric encryption, it will not work. Like we will have to we can decrypt only using private keys. So like so for the same reason, asymmetric is more secure, because if somebody else gets the secret key, that's it. Like your file is gone. But in asymmetric, only the receiver knows the private key, and only the whoever is publishing that file or sending that file knows the public key. Yeah. Yeah. So these are some key differences. So so when we actually check the size of the ciphertext, symmetric encryption has less size than the asymmetric one, and data size is actually symmetric is used for sending big data, and when with asymmetric we are actually sending mostly sending the small data, like small chunks. Yeah, and about resource utilization, symmetric uses low usage, but asymmetric has high usage of resources. And about key lengths, like you might have heard about 128-bit encryption, 256-bit encryption. So symmetric uses very low key sizes, but asymmetric uses 2048, 4096 sizes. And about security, as I said in the first slide, asymmetric is more secure. And number of keys, again, like it uses single in symmetric, multiple keys in asymmetric. Techniques, symmetric is a very old technique, and asymmetric is a new technique, we can say, but it is like being used for a lot of years now. Like it uses two keys, and confidentiality, again it's same as secure. Like we have two separate keys, so we don't share the secret key with anybody. And speed, symmetric is faster, while asymmetric is slower, because it has to use private keys, and it is more it is encrypted like RSA 2048, right? So it will take time for decrypting as well. And these are the algorithms that are supported. Like we have AES, DES, quad supported for symmetric, and we have RSA, then ECC algorithm for asymmetric. Yeah, so we can set up GPG. So I have actually shown the Ubuntu example here. So we can actually run commands for installing GPG in Ubuntu. Like we have apt-get install new PG, and there is a UI app also like KGPG, which will actually like we can interact with the keys. Like we'll have a UI using which we can actually interact with the keys, and we can delete and insert new key, generate new key. So if you are using commands like if you are using new PG commands, we can also use commands for generating the keys, like importing the keys, exporting the keys. Yeah. So these are some commands. So the first command is actually for generating a key. So we can actually use gen key for generating a key. Then we can list keys using list keys command. Then we have list public keys. So as I said, we have public keys and private keys. So we can list public keys using list public keys command, and we have list secret keys for listing private keys. So on the right hand side, you can see is a sample of how I have generated a key pair. So we call it as a key pair because we have public and private keys when we generate a GPG key pair. So we can actually share the public key. Like if we are actually the destination, like we are the one who actually receives a file, then we can actually generate a key pair. We can share the public key to the sender. Something like if we are going to send receive a file from someone, then we can actually share the public key to them, and then they can actually we can share to them via like we can hand it to them, or we can email to them, or we can place it online, because it doesn't matter. Like even if they get the public key, because they cannot use the public key for decrypting any files. Yeah. So this is how we actually export a public key. We have GPG armor command and export. So we can actually see a sample public key format. This is like which will have a version, then the start and it will look like say public key.
Is this KGPG or KD?
Sorry.
Is this KGPG? Is it part of the KD? Because the GNOME has their own keyring to keep the secret
Yes,
keys, right?
yes,
So,
yes.
so is this part of the KD?
Yes, yes, we can actually use. That's what I have actually used here. So we have the GNU PG was a library within the Ubuntu itself. So that using that we can actually leverage the public key, private key. Like we can generate the keys, and we can actually share to the like if we are actually going to receive some files, like if we are working in some data engineering project or something. So most of the time we actually deal with files, right? And we need secure, like we need to make sure that the information is secure. So to make sure that we actually use that asymmetric encryptions. So it's like a UI that we have to actually install. Like KGPG is a UI. It doesn't work with the latest Ubuntu version. Like so I cannot show a demo.
Okay.
So of the UI, but I will show the demo.
Are you running the KD desktop environment on your Ubuntu?
No.
Okay. It's no.
No. It's like I'm not running KDE. Like it's Ubuntu.
Ubuntu. Maybe they have the KD thing installed.
Okay.
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah. So we have import command as well. Like if we have some public key shared by some friends, then we can actually import public key using import command, as well as we can import using the UI. So here you can see like we can import using the UI command, UI menus, where we can actually select the file, and also there are like we can copy and we can select it from clipboard. Also we can have it from a key server. Like if we have some key server where we keep all the keys. Yeah. So this is the command for encrypting a file. So we can actually encrypt files using gpg-e-r. Then we need to provide a real name or a unique ID. So it's something like so if I am generating a key pair, you can see an example here. Like I have given Vishnu testing sample, and the text is the file sample file is sample file.txt, and you can see the file got generated as sample file.txt.gpg. So if we try to open that file, we can only see binary characters. Like we don't see anything what was there in the sample file. Yeah, similar way we can also use decrypt commands, which is like gpg-do-o-d-o, and the target file name and the encrypted file path, like whatever file path that we have encrypted, right? So the same command you can see there in the below screenshot as well, wherein we are actually you can see sample file decrypted.txt, which is actually decrypting from GPG file to text file. Yeah, so we have support for GnuPG in Python, like we have Python wrapper for GnuPG. Also in Java, we have Bouncy Castle. Like Bouncy Castle there are APIs developed in Java wherein we can use Bouncy Castle APIs, which can be leveraged for, like, if we are developing some jobs or some applications to perform. So if there is a Java application that need to encrypt the file, send it to someone, so we cannot use the command. We can use command line, but still, like, if we have to actually leverage the Java code itself, then we can actually use Bouncy Castle APIs. So this is how this is just an explanation of how we can actually do the encryption and decryption. So we have a text file. We have two systems, like system 1 and system 2. So system 1 has a text file, and we use either Bouncy Castle Java API or GPG commands, and we use the public key to decrypt, and we send, like, we have file as GPG. So the file is actually sent to another system or system in the internet. So they receive it, and they use again Bouncy Castle Java APIs or GPG commands, and they use the private key and the password that we provided, and they decrypt the file and they get the text file. So you can see this text file is not available in the internet. Yeah. So I'm planning to have some demo on these commands. So I'll show you some demo on GPG. Hope it's visible. So I have a list of commands. Yeah. So the first command is actually to generate a key pair. So I have already installed GPG. So I'll just run the gen command. So this will ask for a real name, wherein we'll have to actually provide a real name or unique ID for the GPG. So I'm using this for other commands. So I'm just using the same name.
Is protocol being used?
Yes. So it will ask for email address also. Like we can provide the email address. So I'm just giving a random email address for registering it. Yeah. So it will ask for a key pair, right? So it will have to actually use public key and private, like it will generate public and private keys. So I'm giving a password. Yeah, so we have a key generated here. So you can see it shows the keys are generated. So let's list the keys. So we can basically it will, like if even if we try to list the secret keys, it will show the same public key because yeah. Yeah, so here we can see like it shows the keys that are generated. Uh, then have other commands to export. So so I have provided post export public key. So it will actually show us the. Let me open that file. Yeah. So this is the key that I have exported now. So you can see like it's in public. It's a public key, and this is the format that key is in. Similar way, we can export private key as well. So the commands before you can see here like it's export, it exports a public key, and this is actually going to export a secret key. So when we actually export a private key, it will actually ask the password that you have provided, because every time we use secret key, the password is essential. Yeah. So here you can see the private key. This is the sample private key that has been exported. So this is the one that we will be using for decrypting the file, and this is the one that will be used for the public key is the one that we will be using for encrypting the file. So other command is
Vishnu, we're running late, 5 more minutes.
okay. Yeah, so these are commands for deleting the keys, and similar way we have commands for importing the, like we whatever keys we have actually exported, like we can import the public key and import the private key as well. And I'll just show an encryption and decryption as well. So I already have a file hello world.txt which has a text file, text content like hello world. So here you can see like it's hello world. So I'm going to encrypt the file. So here you can see the encrypted file has an extension with GPG, and if we try to open this file, it will be some code characters, like we will not be able to understand like what is the content of the file. And again, we will actually decrypt it using the decrypt command. So there I'll provide a different file name so that we can understand better. So I added a postfix like decrypted.txt. Yeah, so when we actually try to decrypt the file, it will automatically select the private key because the file itself will have a content of the private key when we like when otherwise, if you are actually trying to do it with a private key, you will have to actually provide that private key specifically. So here it's asked for the password. So I am providing the password that I have used while creating the key. So here it will show like what GPG key it has used and what was the unique ID that it has used for encrypting it. And so this is the decrypted one. You can see the content as well. So this is how we can actually utilize GPG for encryption and decryption of keys. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's it from my end. So anybody has any questions?
Why is there a password? Like, isn't the private key enough?
Yeah, like it's like a like we have two-factor authentication, right? So
Yeah.
similar way they have additional password for secret keys as well. So in case they get the secret key, even then they cannot decrypt it unless and until they have the password.
So these private keys are stored in a private key ring, and the key ring is asking for the password.
Key ring.
Like that's what I asked. Like gnome key ring, it's stored.
Yeah, like it has a default key.
Yeah, it has a place where it
within,
stores that.
yeah.
So that is the thing that is actually asking it per se.
So in, like if we go to .gpg, like we have like in our home folder there will be a .gpg folder, and within it will be hidden. Like within that there will be a key ring, like key
Yeah.
ring folder wherein we can actually see all these details. Yeah.
Part of the OS.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you then.
All right, folks, now we'll have a small break, and after the break, we'll carry over. So help yourself with the wonderful snacks that's over there. And personally, this is my favorite part of the meetup because not only because of the unwinding that will happen, but it is also the time where interesting conversations will also, come into the picture. So relax yourself, help yourself with the snacks, and let's meet soon after the break. Thank you.
she sent me a message saying, I was just coming back from New York, so that's when she messaged me about this. Yeah, she says, yeah, we're in. So the thing was, I was an intern at IBM Research Engineering once, so back in the day. So I was in Shea Hallamy's school. My name is Mark. That's how I got in touch with I actually thought ISL was the rebranded of IR. We had Media Research Lab. So it was the systems group, right? So I think software group, yeah. The systems group. I thought maybe media they changed everything and then so you're planning like Madhu told me we do September. I don't next month it's new IPO. Because we have the Meetup So I think you're short of office space right now. You're opening new spaces. I mean, they're going to talk to and propose because the whole point of coming here is that everybody, even for 15 minutes, can see they're just talking about what they're doing. It's not the project they're working on. This is how I use open source, and you can just. This is how the community builds. Otherwise, yeah. You guys have a very active open source also. None of the leaders get it. It's very relaxed. It's nothing very difficult to organize also. Just people come, go, and that's it. Conclude on that. It's just like a very easy to organize. The only thing is like the live stream and the live stream, so there are usually around 200 people who are watching it online. So last time it was like 191 or something. So today we were having a little connection problem with the Wi-Fi, so that's why it broke. Otherwise we don't have it. So then people actually come watching the Kochi code and all that they watch on YouTube. And we record these and we put the videos also out there. So that people can watch it later. Very helpful. People actually find it very helpful. They see small pieces of information പഠിച്ച് നമ്മളിങ്ങനെ കേൾക്കും പെട്ടെന്ന് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മൈക്രോഫോൺ നമുക്ക് വായിക്കാൻ പറ്റും പിന്നെ നമ്മൾ ക്യൂറേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം ഒരുമാതിരി we look at the talks and share something that's worthwhile we look. Student community is already there, but we're not focused so much on the student community. Rather than for our activities, we focus more on young professionals. So if you look at the crowd here, almost 70% is young professionals. Young, they just joined so and started.
I don't know anyone here.
I don't know, but because we see the RSVP, you can see there's so 60 to 70% Adana. And then 40% little bit students who are like student developers, they are interested in open source. They do like silly projects like virtual show.
I brought my daughter along just to get her a taste of open source. I'll take a leave now because
Yeah, sure.
And can I have your number?
Yeah, my name. Yeah, so actually my India number is 94. Actually, then go somewhere else and come and take more pictures. So that is the stage where I give it up and we give it a new set of getting AI is part of the main foundation. So there will be somebody who's seeing to that it will happen in the future. It's good for companies because it's not other the money scope this is not, there's no marketing here. It's just like you are forced, you can exchange ideas. It's pure nature. There's no marketing this way. That is it's just software and people following. You hidden agenda is there. That is pure. It's nice meeting you. Thank you for coming. And I hope you guys celebrate some boxes.
Yeah, definitely.
Then Madhuri, I can know that. Wait, I'll save it on my phone. I'll save it as a text. So I'm not going to add it to this. I'll send you also. So my phone is not connected right now, so it's connected. See, WhatsApp is also on this. So in the CFP phone, I'll just send you WhatsApp. So if there's anybody who wants to get 15 minutes.
Right, yeah.
So that way, I can also get like, we are there in the coaching.
Being present, right? Right now, IBM is not being present anywhere, especially server.
Like you said, many of these are like students now, and they're not very professional. This is like, there were students, but me, excited. But I was a summer intern.
How long did you stay in IBM?
No, I was there for 4 months. So when I was doing my college, I did my first internship in Motorola. So that principal went to IBM research, and he wanted to continue. So he called me. So that's how I from Motorola Bangalore we went to IBM PJ Watson. Motorola was like coming down, they were shutting down and all that. So he moved to PJ Watson. So I continued. The next summer I went to PJ Watson as part of that. She had this Google app. I was spent the months with that. And I was working in industry all the time. Early retirement.
Early retirement,
One of
like
those
my husband. He retired at 40. Thank you, Akash, for being the shepherd. Okay. All right, everyone. Now we have our fourth talk of the day. This talk is basically, as what I have seen, it's based on a trending topic, which is like language models form the base and trend right now. And we had a lot of debates. Personally, what's happening in we have a FOSS United public Telegram group, and the debates about language models and its significance and all those things have become the debate of the place, that we have a dedicated channel for AI and the entire conversation and debate for it now. So, Shanit. Shanit is actually talking about LangChain, which is a which is a tool that we use to work with powerful language to be on. In fact, so without much footage, let's hear Shanit himself.
Hello. So good afternoon all. So today I'm going to take a section on LangChain. So LangChain is basically used along with a large language model. So before starting the section, I will like to introduce myself. My name is Shanit and I am working as a data scientist in Cubus. So I am also from Kochi. So let's start with the slides. So this is the agenda of the entire project presentation. So first of all, I will explain about the history of LangChain. So then why we need LangChain along with some of the limitations of LLM models. Then I will talk about what is LangChain, then the basic components of LangChain. Then I will explain about a flowchart regarding how LangChain works along with a demo. And last, I will explain about the problem while facing using LangChain. So, about the history part, LangChain was launched in October 2022 as an open source project by Addison Chase. So, when he was working on a startup called Robust Intelligence. So, after that, the trend of this topic will arise. So, lot of funding get from so many conferences and all. So as a result, in March 2023, so it was included most of the infrastructure giants like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft Azure. So it is basically available in two different languages. First one is Python and JavaScript. So initially, it is only support the OpenAI GPT models. Later is expanded to more models like Hugging Face models also. So these are some of the application already integrated with the LangChain. Let's move to, so this is a graph showing the growth of LangChain. So as you see, like the growth of LangChain is pretty quick and it is impressive. So within a week of release, so it will get a GitHub star around more than 6K. So today I just checked the GitHub star, so it is around 55K. That is more than most of the open source like Sparsy and NLTK. So that's about the graph. So then come why we need LangChain. So before explaining why we need LangChain, so we can go through some of the problems we're facing using LLM. So first one is hallucination. So as we all know, like the ChatGPT models or GPT models are trained up to, so it can answer the data beyond that. So if any new topic or something come, it won't answer. But it will give a generic idea or generic description that will be irrelevant also. So I will explain the case study. Yeah, you can see like I just asked for ChatGPT about what is a LangChain. So as it response, we can find like it can't answer, like it is updated until September 2021. So for a relevant topic, we will not get a output from that LLM models. So that is the issue. And also we can't integrate other interface like database or third-party APIs or we can't use our custom data to ingest into LLMs. So also for the security concern, we will not share our private data with the LLM models. So in this scenario, we will use LangChain. Actually, LangChain will save time. So there are already several utility functions already programmed so that we can use it as a helper function. So it is already integrated with all of the databases, and we can call a third-party API also. So the switch between LLM models is easy while using LangChain. So we can switch it between LLM models as you wish. So we no need to do it from scratch. So what is a LangChain? So LangChain, is the name suggests, it is a chain of components. So basically it will use to build a framework around large language model. So it is packed of full of features. That is amazing tool that will used for the advanced use case of LLM. So some of the use cases are chatbots, generative question answering, and summarization, and much more. So let me explain about the basic components of LangChain. The first one is model itself, the LLM model itself. There are 3 different models are available. First one is LLM models, second one is chat models, and third one is the test embedding models. There are so many integration already done with the LangChain. So we can use it directly or externally we can import it directly from using LangChain. Then is come the prompt part. So the input to the LLM model is always through a prompt. So actually prompt is nothing but we are giving the question as a query, and we are providing some sample example. So from that LLM will retrieve or return the possible answer, the most probable answer from those examples. So for selecting the prompt, depending upon the models, there were different type of prompt templates already available in LangChain. So for that, we are using example selector for selecting the appropriate template. Also, if we are dealing with the output of LLM model, so there is always a output parser is there. So output parser is nothing but if we are wishing, for example, like if I want the output in a JSON format or CSV format, I can do it using the output parser. So it is already integrated with the LangChain. Then come the most important part is indexes. So indexes is nothing but we are structuring our data so that the LLM can interact with. So there are using document loader to load our custom data. Then come the test splitters. So because if you are passing the old document to the LangChain, so there may be conflict, like LLM only support for particular LLM, the token size may be fixed, like we can't pass the token size exceed that. So at that scenario, we will got some issues. So for fixing that, we are using test splitters. So there are 10 plus integration is already there. So one of the main thing is like, so if I have a private document, so if I want to do some things with LLM, so I have to, first of all, I have to convert into some type of embedding. So for storing those type of embedding, I am using vector store. So for example, like Pinecone or Chroma, they are already integrated with the LangChain. So retriever is the main component of LangChain. Like it will retain or extract the relevant information by make use of the vector store. So if, for example, like I am querying something like who is the captain of Indian cricket team. So I already, the query will be converting to some sort of embedding. So in the vector store, I will compare it with vector store and find the top K of approximate output from the vector store. And then I just pass that along with the question vector to the LLM as a prompt template. So in that scenario, I will probably get the best answer from LLM instead of getting ready-made things. So chains are nothing but it is combining multiple blocks of LangChain. So there are 20 plus type of chains are available. For example, like there is tough chain, refined chain, and what is a overlap chains are also available. So So next one is the agent. Agent is the central process unit. It's somewhat say like it is a processing unit of LangChain. So it will be responsible for which components I have to activate for a particular course of action. So there are, we can integrate with this, some of the toolkits available with the agent. So the example of agent is plan and execute. So plan and execute agent will, for example, like I am querying like what is the 70% of 1000. So there are a couple of LLMs are available, like Wikipedia LLM and Math LLM, like that. So I already set it is as, if the query is coming in a mathematical way, I will always choose Math LLM and the corresponding results. So we can set up with the agent like that. So this is a simple flowchart of a LangChain, how it works. So first of all, we have a document loader. So it will load the source data, like if you have a PDF data, the data is from database also, it can load. Then we have to split the document to smaller chunks. Then we have to embedding corresponding the LLM we are using. If you are using Hugging Face LLM, you have to use Hugging Face embedding. Or if you are using OpenAI models, you can use the OpenAI embedding also available integrated with the LangChain. So that after that we will store it in the vector storage. And in the retrieval part, actually the query will come, like what is like, for example, who is the captain of Indian cricket team. So it will embed the question, and we will get the relevant split. That is the top K most probable answer from the vector store, and we will pass to prompt, and then we ask the LLM model in such a way that this is the question and these are the possible examples. So from that, pick the best one. So in that way, we will get the output from LLM. So this flowchart is a little bit complex, so I will explain with an example. So as you see, like the user query is like, who is the captain of Indian cricket team? So the question will pass to LangChain. So LangChain is act as a bridge between the user query and LLM. Then the question is going to embedding model. So in that, the question get embedded. So we will get the question vectors. Then the question vectors is go to compare with the embedding we are stored in the vector database, that is either Python or Chroma. There are already 10 plus implementations are there. Then after that, we will get 10 top K approximate nearest neighbor vectors. And then we will prompt it, and we will pass into LLM models. It may be OpenAI, Meta, or Dolly models. So we will get the corresponding answer. In the LangChain, so I already tell like there is output parser. So we can verify, like we can, we can provide the output in a desired way using output parser. It may be JSON format or CSV. So now we just quickly move to the demo section. So the overview of the demo section is like a question answering use case where I just process a PDF. So like this is a PDF. It is for the refund policy of Amazon. So there are it is around 4 or 5 pages. So there may be some confusion, like why I need LangChain. So can I do it with only LLM, using LLM? So the answer is yes, you can do it using LLM also. So the problem is like LLM is work in a generic way. So actually, as you mentioned about issues like hallucination. So in that scenario, so LLM can give the generic queries that will indeed in this type of policies. But if we are focusing on, for example, if my company has a HR policy, so I like to build a chatbot for that. So most probably I have the company to company, the policy may be different. So if I using LLM, it will give in a generic way, like it will give the answer in a generic way. For if you are looking for a domain specific, like a medical field or retailing industry, for example, I already said like if I am making a chatbot for my particular company. In that scenario, the data may be precious, so we will not share the data to LLM. So most of the open source like APIs are using our data to train their model or building their model more massively. So that's it. So this is the PDF. It is around 4 or 5 pages. So you can see like the LLM model I just used is Hugging Face. So for that I just calling the Hugging Face API. So for the embedding part I just use Hugging Face embedding because I am using LLM as Hugging Face. So I have to use the corresponding embedding. Then for the loading the PDF I just use the unstructured PDF loader. So for the vector store index creation, so I just use the indexes. So for the splitting part, for chunking of document into smaller parts, I just use character test splitter. So retrieval, for the chain, just use retrieval QA. And then I just load the PDF and convert into vector form. You can see like index equal to vector so index created. So I just created the vector depending upon the embedding of the LLM model. And after that, I just call the Hugging Face LLM model using Hugging Face Hub. So you can pass like, there is so much variable we can pass. Like here I just put it the temperature as 0. The temperature is nothing but the randomness of the output. So if I put temperature closer to 1, so the output may be vary. We will not get approximate output. So I just freeze that part by putting 0. So the maximum size I put for the vector is 512. And then I just prepare the pipeline. So here I just use the chain type as stuff. So chain type stuff means like I pass all the input to the pipeline. So there is no leakage of data. So either we can use like refined chain type we can use. In the refined chain type, what we'll do is like it is act as a sequential way. Like if the use case is about a summary of a particular document. So for example, like it will split up into smaller chunks, and each chunk it will be called a separate API key, and from each API key it will get a result and it's concatenated with the next summary, and so on so on. We will get the final output. So there are so many. There is chance of missing the data. That's so I just use the chain type as stuff. So the input key is question. So I just make a function, just a simple function to initiate the chain. So these are some of the queries, like what are the procedure I have to follow before doing the refund. So actually what LangChain is doing, like we are already embedded those document, the private document, and from that we are getting the relevant answer. So make use of the power of LLM, we are actually getting those answers. If we are only using LLM for that, we will get some type of fabricated output that may be out of context. So I will try with one more example. Okay. So what is the delivery charge for normal shipping? So it will take a little bit of time because I am using API code. So in order to reduce that, you can either download the LLM models and can host in a server. So it will be easy. Also, the main part is we can protect our data. Like we will encrypting the data. So consider it as a private data. So I just encrypting and storing in a separate database. So there is no interaction with the LLM model. So delivery charge for normal shipping is free. So that's all about the demo. So let's back to the slides. So these are some of the problems with LangChain. So actually LangChain is in a development process. It is not yet completed. So there are some of the problems that are faced by developer while using LangChain. So first one is limited accuracy for rare languages. For example, like LangChain support 100+ languages. So if we are focusing on a particular languages that have a less accuracy, so it will be a problem. So other thing is like make some simple thing ultra complex. For example, like in the case of prompt part, we can do it by using simple Python f function. So another one is like the document is might get confusing. Like if you are deep dig into the concept of lang chain, so it may be sometimes it will be difficult or some little bit confusing. So last one is about the prompt part. Like depending on the model, we have to change the prompt accordingly. So if you are making some rare changes, we have to also make the prompt accordingly. So that is the problem regarding it. So that's all from my side. So have any queries? Okay.
If previously LLM is a common thing these days.
I can hear you.
LLM is a common thing these days. So
Yeah.
one question I have is like, what prevents companies from open API or something? What are the constraints that prevents companies from hosting it on their own?
So you are telling like what is the case of why we are not developing LLM on our own?
Yeah, not only LLMs, like if we want to implement an LLM system on a website or something, what prevents companies from doing it on their own and not use an external API, for example?
Yeah, for example, like for LLM models, we all know like we can train our own LLM model, but it need data. Like so, the OpenAI doing like in September 2022 data. Up to that data, they are trained the model. So, for example, we can do it from our end, but it is computationally very costly. Yeah.
Is that open source? Like I think Hugging Face is getting too popular these days.
Yeah.
But still, it's not like a crowdsourced way of doing this. Is that?
I'd like to add to that. So, like in the LLM space, when people say it's an open source model, what they mean is that the weights used to train the model is open source,
Yeah.
not the actual data or the actual models are not self-hostable.
Yeah.
But still, Hugging Face is able to do that.
Hugging Face is a different platform.
And they are also providing the API.
Yeah, they are doing it. They are doing it on there, but they are not actually selling the models themselves to anyone.
Actually, I would like to add on that too. Like there are different types of model with different licenses.
Yeah.
So there is a new model called Llama 2, which has
By
a
Meta.
commercial license. So we can use that to host.
But even that is like it's not like open source as in like
No,
open source software.
yeah, it's open source. Like they have the Apache certificate, and we can use it for our own commercial
Yeah,
purpose.
but can you self-host it?
Yeah, we can self-host it.
Like, are they actually providing the binaries to the developed model? Is
Yeah,
that what they're saying?
we can download it and use it in our local, or we
So,
can.
like, the confusing part for me is that LLM, like, unlike a piece of software, does not come from source code.
Yeah, no, it have a binary file.
Yeah.
Like
So, like, are they licensing the binary files?
yes, they are licensing. As to my knowledge, I think because they have an Apache 2 license,
Okay.
and we can download a 8 GB, 7 billion parameter.
Yeah, so that sounds like the weight. So weights is also code. So if I mean I'm not sure. Like I am hearing, I have heard about this, but I don't work in the LLM space, but I've read about this and like I'm hearing about this in detail from you. So what you say sound like the weights that is used to train the model. So that can be licensed because that is source code.
So I think I'm a bit confused. Like I'm not sure about the data they trained on. Is like you know like എന്താ പറയാ like let me explain. Okay. ഇപ്പൊ അവര് ട്രെയിൻ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന ഡാറ്റ അവർ ഓൺ ചെയ്യണമെന്നാണെന്ന് അവർ പറയാനില്ല. ഓക്കെ മേ ബി അത് നമുക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. പക്ഷെ ഈ ലാമ CPP ആക്ച്വലി ഈ കഴിഞ്ഞ വീക്കിലാണ് ലാമ 2 ഇറക്കിയത്. അവരത് കൊമേഴ്ഷ്യൽ ലൈസൻസ് വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് ഇറക്കിയത്. ഇതിനു മുന്നേ യൂസ് ചെയ്ത് GPT-4 ആയാലും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ലാമ 1 ആയാലും അത് ചാറ്റ് GPT വെച്ചിട്ട് ട്രെയിൻ ചെയ്തേക്കുന്ന മോഡൽസാണ്. സോ അതിന് കൊമേഴ്ഷ്യൽ ലൈസൻസിന്റെ ഇഷ്യൂസ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ ലാമ 2 വന്നപ്പോ അത് മാറിയെന്നാണ് ഞാൻ അറിഞ്ഞത്. അവരുടെ സൈറ്റിൽ അവർ മെൻഷൻ ചെയ്തത് ഫാൽക്കൺ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു മോഡൽ റിലീസ് ആയിരുന്നു. ഫാൽക്കൺ വിക്കൂന. സോ അതിനെല്ലാം കൊമേഴ്ഷ്യൽ ലൈസൻസ് ഉണ്ടെന്നാണ് ഞാൻ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നത്. GPT-4 ഓടുന്നുണ്ടെന്നാണ്. Like you can check on that.
Yeah. So then another constraint would be the size of the file. Like server loaded.
Actually, that ചോദിച്ചതിനുള്ള answer companies are host ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴായാലും they need a huge power to process things. Like GPU use ചെയ്താലും CPU use ചെയ്താലും ഒരു അത്ര റിക്വസ്റ്റ് പ്രോസസ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരു പവർ ആൻഡ് കപ്പാസിറ്റി വേണം. What GPT and all do this like they have AWS support. അവരിത് ഭയങ്കര ലാർജ് സ്കെയിൽ ഇൻഫ്രാസ്ട്രക്ചർ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ആ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഒരു കമ്പനിയിൽ ഒരു മിനിമം ഒരു ബെയർ മിനിമം 7 ബില്യൺ പാരാമീറ്റർ എല്ലാം പോസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാനായാലും they need massive amount of GPU and CPU to run every day.
ട്രെയിനിങ് മാത്രമല്ല ഇപ്പോൾ റൺ ചെയ്യാനും
because we have to process the queries. Query process ചെയ്ത് embed ചെയ്യണം, എന്നിട്ട് അത് വെക്ടർ സ്റ്റോറിൽ പോയി കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്ത ആൻസേഴ്സ് ഫെച്ച് ചെയ്യണം. So it will take more GPU power. So I think that might be the reason.
The thing with OpenAI is that they've not used essentially GPUs. They've used DSAs, domain-specific architectures developed by Microsoft Research just for AI.
Yes.
So they've not released that. Microsoft is keeping that secret
They have
on those architectures,
and
which is why they were able to train at that scale. Even GPUs you cannot scale at that thing. It's very powerful consumer. The biggest problem is data and hardware. See, it's called machine learning. There are two words in it: machine and learning. First thing we need is machine, right? So that is completely closed. They're not. We have no access to that. Sorry. Yeah, that is it. There's absolutely no way. No. See, it is not Panakar. It is basically you should get into the hardware space. We don't have hardware in India. That is the problem. Because the Chinese are like, if you look at the new, new chips that are coming out of this China, it's amazing that they're building. It's like, for example, the replacements for Raspberry Pi itself. I just got a board now. It's almost 8 times as fast, and it's like half the cost because that rock chip is so cheap. They're producing it, right? So hardware is a big issue with machine learning, and all that hardware is unfortunately concentrated in the United States, primarily in the United States. And then second is data. Obviously, you need tons of data, right? So that is with Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. Only 3 companies hold that kind of data sets.
This usually happens in meetups, and it's time to jump in.
Next talk.
Thank you.
So that was our whole discussion on LLMs going on another level. So this was actually a small part of the teaser that actually happens, and the debates that it can get through are actually unimaginable. So I'm not ranting about that anymore. I'll get into introducing our last speaker of the day, Abram, who is going to talk about the anthropology of the Fediverse, a comprehensive review. So
So that's another thing I'm like researching right now is like how to take small scale data sets and do it. Yeah, so I'm doing this live research right now. So I'm doing other topics also. So that I'm doing. So with that I'm working with New York University. We are finding ways to do that. Actually, in my previous work we used to do that. I can't think of it.
വരുന്നവരുണ്ടല്ലോ
Hello. Sorry about the delay. ജീവിതമാണ് ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ സംഭവിക്കും. So hello. വിഷം തുടങ്ങിയോ? ചെറുതായിട്ട്. ഓക്കെ, പെട്ടെന്ന് തീർക്കാം. Cool. I'll go first. എൻ്റെ പേര് എബ്രഹാം. എന്നെ ഇങ്ങനെയും അറിയപ്പെടാറുണ്ട്. ഞാൻ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ എഴുതും, കാശ് കിട്ടും, വീട്ടിലെ ബില്ലെല്ലാം അടയ്ക്കും. ഞാൻ I do web, I do design, I do cloud, and feel free to interrupt me. So the title is pretty big. It's pretty verbose. It's called Review of the Anthropology of the Fediverse. So what is the Fediverse? ഇവിടെ Fediverse-നെ പറ്റി കേട്ടിട്ടുള്ളവർ എത്ര പേരുണ്ട്? Yeah, that's good. I'll take that. Anthropology എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ എന്തുവാ? That's a good number. Okay. So anthropology means it's just basically എന്താ പറയാ, മനുഷ്യരുടെ ബിഹേവിയർ ഓവർ എ ടൈം അതെങ്ങനെ അവരുടെ എൻവയോൺമെന്റിനെ എഫക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നു എന്നുള്ളതാണ് anthropology. So Fediverse is basically, this is a basic definition of let me just fix that quickly. Yeah, cool. So Fediverse, it's called many things, the Federation of Universe and that sort of thing. It's basically a group of networks. That try to help us communicate better. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to discuss about, ഇവിടെ മലയാളം സംസാരിക്കാതെ ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ? Anyone who does not speak Malayalam? Anyone who speaks whose primary language is not Malayalam? Okay, അപ്പോൾ മലയാളത്തിൽ പറയാലോ അല്ലേ? So എങ്ങനെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മൾ ഫെഡിവേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് ഉണ്ട്. ഈ ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഓഫ് നെറ്റ്വർക്ക്സ് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഉണ്ടായത്, നമ്മുടെ എന്താണ് ഇത് ഉണ്ടാവാൻ കാരണമായത്, നമ്മളുടെ നീഡ്സ് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇതിനെ ഷേപ്പ് ചെയ്തത്, ഇതാണ് ബേസിക്കലി ഈ ഒരു ടോക്ക് കൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ പറയാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. സോ ബാക്ക് ഇൻ ദ ഗുഡ് ഓൾഡ് ഡേയ്സ്, നമുക്ക് പഴയ കാലത്തിലേക്ക് പോകാം. പഴയ കാലം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മളൊക്കെ ജനിക്കുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ്. ഇവിടെ 70s ജീവനുണ്ടായിരുന്ന ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ ഇവിടെ? 1970s ഒക്കെ ആരുമില്ല. ഒരാളുണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, നമ്മള് I want to make you feel bad, അല്ല നീ കൈ അടിപ്പിച്ചെന്നെ എല്ലാവരും കൂടി. So yeah, that was like the age of the baby boomers. So ആ സമയത്ത് that is when the internet started coming to place. Like internet അപ്പോഴും niche സാധനമായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് yeah. Technically, internet was still a lab experiment in UC Berkeley and in the US. So, but at that point, the thing was that because there was nothing, people create something. They used to just write it up and they used to write it simple. And there was a certain amount of beauty to that. And അതുവെച്ചുണ്ടാവുന്ന ഒരു സ്കീം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അന്നും സോഷ്യൽ, ലൈക്ക് ബീയിങ് സോഷ്യൽ ഓൺലൈൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു ഐഡിയ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ അന്ന് ഇതേപോലെ സോഷ്യൽ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക്സ് ഇല്ലായിരുന്നു. So how did people become social online? So let's just figure that out. How did our previous generation do it, right? So how did people post status in 1970s? There's something called the finger protocol. It is an actual IETF standard. It's an actual thing, and it was written so that you could simply post what you are up to that day. So if I'm a professor at a university, I basically wake up in the morning, I open the server, I write something, hey, this is my schedule for today, and anyone can just figure and get it. So there are not many finger servers up right now. One of the Debian, so you can actually do sudo apt install finger. Let me just increase the font there. Control Shift plus should work. Yeah, okay. So finger. So you can do something like this, right? So I am Abraham, and this is Debian's finger server, and you could, hopefully if the network worked, you could get stuff like this. So this is what finger servers do. This is how you used to post status in the 1970s. It's just simple. And the fun part, the good thing about this is, one thing that I would say is that, so this is the RFC for finger server. It's a web page. You can go and read it, and like you can write about, scroll it. This is all there is to it. It is simple. നിങ്ങൾ ഒരു ആഫ്റ്റർനൂൺ ഒരു മണിക്കൂർ ഇരുന്നാൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ സാധനം മൊത്തം എന്തോന്ന് വായിച്ച് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ പറ്റും. And if you sit for a weekend, you can actually implement it. This is how people used to be social. One. Another thing, let's keep going. So but that's fine, we can post it, but how did people actually talk on the internet? That used to be the good old email and IRC. How many of you still use email, like on a weekly basis? One person, two, three. Okay, so we have 3 people who use email. So do you know what the beauty of email is? How many of you are front-end developers? How many of you know how to write front-end code? Okay, not many front-end developers. How many of you have written a user interface on the web? How many of you are sure that the user interface that you've written is responsive and accessible? So today, web interfaces are used to communicate information. Email, so the thing with the web interface is that it appears on different screens. You need to optimize for that. Then there are IP-based restrictions depending on where you host things, or if you're deploying on the edge, there are political things that make it prevent it from going here and there. So there's all that gizmo that you have to account for. I mean, you don't need to account for that, but it's nice if you do it. You are being considerate of other people. But look at the email. It's text. You're sending text over the wire. There is no responsiveness. It's accessible to any. If you're blind, even if you're deaf, you can actually access it. There's like the barrier to entry is like really low. If you have a Raspberry, you don't even. Modern web browsers require gigabytes of memory to actually function. You load up Gmail, you need you can't actually do it on a pretty old computers. So at the same time, you have email, which is basically text. You need like most of a lot of terminal-based email clients require like megabytes of data, and like I'm just getting at how simple and how little you needed to communicate over the internet in the past. And let's look at IRC. Again, I'll show you the protocol, IRC protocol. This is the standard. Again, this is a bit longer because like you're doing real-time communication. But again, if you look at the TOC, it's not that long. The table of you can read it over a weekend, and you spend another week or two, you have your own IRC server. It's easy to implement, it's easy to host, it's easy to maintain, and people just did it. People just did it in their free time. That's it. Nowadays, you try to host your own website, you try to host your own metrics or Mastodon or whatever. It's almost a full-time job, and like that's what people mean when they say the web is getting bloated. We are trading complexity, and we are trading basically functionality for complexity of maintenance. So this is how things used to be. So this is like a simple disclaimer. Email is not Gmail, for those of you who do not know. Email is a thing of its own. The good things about email are, this is like a part of the stuff that I mentioned earlier. Email does not care where you're from. You can basically send an email, Yahoo or Gmail or whatever. It doesn't care, unlike if you're on Facebook. If you use WhatsApp, you need to have WhatsApp installed on your device to get a WhatsApp message. I don't need to be on Gmail to receive an email from someone who's on Gmail. Then email does not care. Again, it's about the accessibility thing. No need of 4G connection, no need of fancy browsers. It's just simple. But yeah, if those of you who are actually interested in back-end work, who likes reading protocols, JSON Meta Application Protocol, JMAP, it's something that you should really look into. Yeah. So then what happened that made these tools unsuitable for modern human? So like nowadays, again, nobody really uses IRC. I mean, I do, but I'm weird. But nobody really uses IRC. Nobody really uses email. What happened? What happened in the past few years? Well, the world got a lot more smaller, and the internet became something that was used in labs and like by hackers, and to something that your mother uses, your distant aunt who watches morning who looks at cooking recipes on YouTube. So that is actually something really empowering. That is actually really good. And we have reached this point. I think that just is a thing of marvel on its own. But at what cost, right? That's the question that I want to ask. So this is like the problem that we're dealing with here is sharing at scale. So we are right now we are not doing one-to-one communication. We are not just communicating with people in our colleges or people in our university. We are not even communicating within a geographical space. We are communicating to the world. You put a post on Instagram or Facebook, you're actually targeting the entire world. Anyone who knows the right things to search can find what you're saying. So that is the scale that we are working with, and we need to be able to communicate at this scale. Email, IRC, stuff like the finger protocol were just not made for this purpose. They were made with with a smaller scale at mind. That is one thing. So why do I say this? Take a look at any mailing list. After a mailing list that involves more than 10 or okay, how many of you know what a mailing list is? So mailing list is like so a mailing list is like mailing list is like a forum post, but you subscribe to it with your email. So someone posts a comment under that, you get a mail. You want to post a comment, you send a mail. Get the idea? You don't go to a web interface, you just send and receive mail. So that's what a mail list. You go to a mailing list that has more than 10 participants, it gets really hard to comprehend what's going on. Same goes with IRC. So at scale, it becomes difficult. So this is what we're trying to solve with modern social media. That is one thing. So that is one of the fundamental human changes that caused the creation of Fediverse. Because what the current solution that big corps have done is that, one of the solutions that big corps says, we buy a bunch of servers, we host everything on our servers, and we pray to God that nothing really goes down. I'm not sure if you guys follow the server outages and stuff. Facebook went down for a while, and literally businesses lost millions of dollars. So it's like a single point of failure. Imagine what would happen to your company if Gmail went down, or if any of the Google services went down. So I know my company uses Gmail and their Google Suite for email related communication. We have all our basically our deployment to AWS, Heroku, all these passwords, everything has a reset mail that links back to a Gmail account. So if Gmail goes down, literally we wouldn't know what to do. So this is what the big tech has designed. So they told that we'll store everything on-prem. We'll be the single point of contact, but we'll take the risk and we'll spend a shitload of money on SRE so that we make sure that we don't go down properly. But even after that, these companies do go down. So what does Fediverse do differently? Fediverse does not store anything in a single place. As in, I can store something in a single place, but that's not the entirety of Fediverse. Entirety of Fediverse never will exist on a single server. It exists on a group of servers that's maintained by multiple people. So if it goes down, one node goes down, it does not take the entire Fediverse down with it. So that's one. It's a distributed computing thing. So again, I feel like there's a lot of backend crowd here. Probably interesting stuff. But more importantly, there's another thing that we are trying to solve with Fediverse. So how many of you use Instagram? Okay, that's surprisingly less. So okay, Instagram, Facebook people, really? Okay, one Facebook. Okay, so when you use Instagram, who posts the content on Instagram? Who? People. You guys sign up. You guys post the content. Who consumes the content?
Humans.
You guys consume the content. Now, who makes the money? What are they doing?
Simply hosting server.
Okay, so if it was just a server, would they make the money? If it was just a server and no content, would they make the money?
No.
So what is actually generating them the revenue?
Content.
And who is making the content?
Us.
And are you getting paid?
No. No, some of us.
So like ഈ അടിമപ്പണി ഇതുമായിട്ട് എന്താ വ്യത്യാസം?
Shut up.
Okay. So മനസംതൃപ്തി. So the thing is that there's even more malicious things happening. Like ഇത് തമാശക്കാണ്, പക്ഷെ ഇതിലും എന്താ പറയാ ഇത്രയും കൂടെ എന്താ പ്രശ്നമുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഇതിന്റെ പുറകെ നടക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. സോഷ്യൽ ഡയലമ ബേസിക്കലി അതെ. എന്ന് വെച്ചാല് ഇപ്പം I would have been fine if we just created content on it. We put it, hey, we are all having fun. They make some money out of it. I don't really care. But they make money by selling ads. How do they sell ads? They create a model of you. അവർ കളക്കുന്ന മെട്രിക്സ് ആർ സോ പെർവേസീവ്. ലൈക്ക് നിങ്ങൾ എന്ത് കാണുമ്പോഴാണ് നിങ്ങളുടെ സ്ക്രോളിങ്ങിന്റെ സ്പീഡ് കുറയുന്നത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ എന്ത് കാണുമ്പോഴാണ് നിങ്ങൾ ലിങ്കിൽ ക്ലിക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, നിങ്ങൾ എത്ര നേരമാണ് ലിങ്കിൽ ക്ലിക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ എപ്പോഴാണ് ലിങ്ക് കോപ്പി ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഇൻസ്റ്റാഗ്രാമിൽ നിന്ന്. ആക്ച്വലി ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസേഴ്സ് ഇത് ഗസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ദേ ട്രൈ ടു ഒപ്റ്റിമൈസ്. അവർ പറയും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ വീഡിയോ ഇഷ്ടമായെങ്കിൽ ഇതിന്റെ ലിങ്ക് കോപ്പി ചെയ്ത് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് 2 സെക്കൻഡ് എടുക്കത്തുള്ളൂ, പക്ഷെ എനിക്ക് റീച്ച് കിട്ടുമെന്ന് അവർ വീഡിയോയിൽ പറയും. സോ ലൈക്ക് ഇതുപോലത്തെ പെർവേസീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള മെട്രിക്സ് എടുത്തിട്ട് ബേസിക്കലി ഇത് അവരെടുക്കുന്നതിന്റെ കാര്യം എന്തുവാ, they want to make the content growth reach. അതോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ they want to understand what triggers you, what makes you angry, what makes you happy, what makes you sad. So based on your emotions they want to show you the right ads so that they can affect your buying habits. So now let's think about it once. So like they know how you feel, and based on how you feel they give you inputs, and they give you inputs, and based on that they sort of make money out of it. So if you really think about it, they are training us in a way. They are training us by showing us content that we like, that they feel will trigger us. So best example is Twitter. Twitter thrives on people's conflicts. So if there is a thread where people are fighting, Twitter will post that. There's actually a case, lawsuit in US that is like just this: Twitter thriving on top of conflicts between people. Facebook thrives. There's an actual this thing. So there was a conflict where I will not mention the details, but there was a majority community and a minority community. The Facebook kept pushing radical posts to the majority community. The majority community there got radicalized, and they ended up physically attacking the minority community. Again, that is an actual case that is running in a country. I mean, we also know about all the US election things that went on. So we are in a way we are the test subjects, and we are getting trained. So some of us have jobs. I mean, I guess a lot of us have fears exist, because when people try to make money of this stuff, they get too focused on that, and they end up losing the big picture. So bottom line is you own your data. Something owns your data. So like think of this as people. People don't own your data. The CEO of Facebook or the board members of Facebook does not own your data. Facebook as an entity that comprises of some people and machines owns your data, and something controls your attention. By saying you don't have a choice of opting out. So like you try to date today.